Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show podcast, and the Cubs are undefeated with Pete Crow-Armstrong on the team.
Hell yeah.
In the history of Pete Crow-Armstrong, the Cubs have never lost a game.
That's
big of him.
Big of him. Credit to him.
PCA. Credit to PCA.
Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Corey Friedman, Joey on the ones and twos, Cody, boots on the ground in Denver. He's there for the PCA debut. Cubs win 5-4, comeback win. Who else? Mr. Yan Gomes.
Dude.
I got to tell you, they've had
Mr. Clutch.
Some of their best free agent signings
Catchers.
ever have been catchers, right? Like,
Yeah.
they haven't gone wrong at
In
catcher
terms of
very
their
often.
contributions, yeah, absolutely.
Miggy Montero, David Ross, now Yan Gomes. Pretty good.
Dude, he's clutch, man. I mean, you tweeted out the number, but I think when you watch him, he's like hovering around a 100 WRC plus on the season. For a 36-year-old catcher, you're going to take that all day.
Absolutely.
But you just feel like in those situations, like he's going to give, you don't know if he's always going to come through, but he's going to give you a solid at-bat. And he's one of those guys like late in that situation. The Cubs hit into so much like bad luck tonight. They smoked some balls off Freeland early in that game. And so, like, you don't know how it's going to go there. Like, in that situation in the ninth, other than, like, Belly, right? Like, maybe Nico. But, like, Yan Gomes is absolutely one of those guys you want up in that situation. He has been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it. 166 WRC plus in high-leverage moments this season coming into today. So, obviously, that has risen. So, it's like you mentioned he's hovering at 100. I think he's at 97 now after tonight's game. But they don't have him around to be this otherworldly hitter, right? Like if he's league average hitter with what he does behind the plate as far as controlling the pitching staff and the good defensive work and controlling the running game, all that, like they're absolutely going to take it. And then he goes and they put him in the big moments and he absolutely, it feels like he's coming through every single time.
Yeah.
Came through again today. And it's just, it's another Yan Gomes moment where you sit there and you're like, man, he's definitely not the best hitter on this team, but like he is arguably, if not for sure, their most dependable hitter in those kinds of big moments because he keeps doing it. And they have guys like Cody Bellinger, Dansby Swanson, who maybe just overall are better hitters, right? And more consistent just throughout a game, throughout a season, they're going to be more productive for the Cubs on offense. But Yan Gomes feels like the guy you kind of want up in the biggest moments because, again, he keeps coming through.
And he already had an RBI in this game, right? So he was already contributing offense. And like I was saying, you tweeted out, Ryan, he came into that at-bat with a 166 WRC plus in high-leverage moments. That was before that. I mean, the dude is he's money in those situations. It's, and as Michael says in the YouTube chat, it's a double steal. So that was a ballsy call from David Ross. I mean, I'm assuming that was from David Ross. Dansby Swanson at second, Ian Happ at first. You get the double steal to set that up. I like it. Aggressive.
And I know you don't like everything that was done by David Ross. I see some of the chat talking about that. We'll get to the negatives if there are some coming up in just a little bit in the show. Hello to everybody in the live YouTube chat. Best way to experience the CHGO postgame show is to be right here in the live chat. But if you're listening on the podcast form, Spotify,
hello,
Apple Podcasts, hello to you. Thank you for listening as well. And make sure you give us the 5-star review, the thumbs up, the likes, and all those positive things as well, please. Barb is asking, did Ryan bring the Rice Krispie treats? Nobody brought the Rice Krispie treats. People are asking, what about the beer bat? When's the beer bat happening? Well, that's debatable. Number one, Joey has agreed to saber tooth. Is that what you call it?
Whatever you want to call
Joey
it.
likes to saber.
Canine.
Joey's going to saber tooth a beer here for us because Corey has only agreed to do the beer bat if they win the series, right?
It's got to be I'm a special occasion guy.
because
what
the
I mean?
last
Am I
time it
not?
was-
I'm not a special occasion
Well,
guy.
the last time it was used, it was vomited in. So, we haven't washed it yet. So right now the beer bat is in quarantine, biohazard,
Right.
With the poop plane.
Health first.
in the poop plane. Cody made the flight to Denver, has landed, boots on the ground, is at the DNVR bar. I don't know if he's in the chat yet.
Brendan is.
I see Brendan is in the chat. The question is, will Cody now call in from the DNVR bar and beer bat chug from the bar?
Well,
or just chug a beer from
if-
the bar?
if he
It doesn't
does-
even have to be in a bat. He could just go to the bar and be like, give me some Malort, and he could chug a little Malort.
If he
But we prefer it
does-
be cold 3-1-2.
If he does, Ryan has an opportunity to do something very funny, which would just be to continue talking while Cody is waiting to join, like we all do to Ryan
Yeah,
every
oh
day.
my God. All the time.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm reading the chat and there's so much going on, but I feel like we have to talk about Jordan Wicks
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
he was great again.
in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately was not able to pick up his fourth straight win, or the fourth win in 4 tries to start his major league career. I think that's like the first pitcher in however many years. I saw a tweet
Yeah.
out there somewhere. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's like, obviously that doesn't happen often. Yeah, he was good again today, and as you mentioned in Coors, like that's hard. That's hard for any pitcher to pitch in, especially a rookie pitcher on the road. 4 starts into his major league career. Like, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And he's able to keep the Cubs right there in it. And, you wish, obviously, the Cubs could give him more run support behind him so you're not getting to where it ended up going after you had to take him out. But, Jordan Wicks is stepping up we talk about Yan Gomes stepping up at the big moments. Like, Jordan Wicks is just stepping up in general when this team needs it. This team needs a starting pitching to give consistent performances, and we're talking about Smiley being moved to the bullpen and Stroman still being out with no, set return in sight. And Tyone had a good start the last one, but we know how up and down his season's been. Jordan Wicks is just coming in and doing what he needs to do to get this team to the playoffs. He said that after his last start at home, that I don't care about the personal success. If we're not in the playoffs, I'm not satisfied. And he's showing it, man. He's just going out there, attacking, doing what works well for him, doing what what they think that is going to get him through a good start, cover some innings, and keep his team in that position to win. Yeah, he just keeps doing it, and you could see that kind of bulldog mentality almost from him. And when the Cubs really needed it, he stepped up, and it's been very impressive to see.
Ground ball outs, that's what he's doing. 12 ground ball outs, and every start has almost been the same. Like the 9 strikeouts in the debut is the outlier, but he's 5 1/3, 6 innings, 5 1/3. He's been consistent, which is an even more impressive thing for me for a rookie coming up, right? A rookie that maybe you weren't even sure was going to make his debut this year. Success is great. You hope you get that out of a rookie when he comes up. But to get it consistently is really impressive. Like, a lot of guys will come up and have one good start because there's no scouting report on him. The next start, not so much. The next one, not so much. And then they bounce back and have another one. So far, everything you've seen out of Wicks is, how could this guy not be in your rotation next year?
Yeah. Well, and it's such a joy to watch him kind of follow Javier Assad, who sort of started this in terms of stepping up and joining the rotation.
You forget he's a rookie at this point,
right?
Assad.
And so he's doing it, and then now for Wicks to do it, you alluded to it, Luke, but here's Wicks' first 4 starts. 5 innings, 1 earned. 5 innings, 1 earned. 6 2/3, 2 earned. 6, 1 earned. That is incredible. I don't think I'm not ignoring you, Brendan. Go to work or whatever you do. For Assad and Wicks to step up and do this as rookies after Stroman goes down, right, with the way Tyone has struggled with the burden, right, that Justin Steele wears of basically carrying this rotation, right, absolutely massive. It's easy to sit here and say, like, where would this team be without Wicks and Assad? Because it's obvious, right? They've been huge for the last few months. But I just don't know how to properly, like, state just how valuable it is. And how it's not ridiculous, but, like, these are two rookies. Jordan Wicks, this is his 4th major league start in Colorado. Now, granted, the Rockies stink, but in Colorado to go 6 and give up 1 run. And while at the time when he came out of the game, the offense was scalding the ball, but you only had a few runs across the plate, just an unbelievable effort from him today and him and Assad for the amount of time that they've been in this rotation.
Yeah, and
keep the ball out of the air in Denver.
Yeah, I look at it.
Playing his game, like you said. He's pitching to his game.
I look at it, and you mentioned Assad and Wicks, and I think back to the post-World Series, pre-pandemic, like that little stretch. I don't think they could have done this had they been really kind of decimated with like injuries or ineffectiveness. Like they didn't have the pitching pipeline for guys like Javier Assad and Jordan Wicks to come up and really step in and take on big roles. They just didn't have that kind of prospect capital coming up. So like this is kind of proof positive and small sample for sure. But like I guess what they're doing at the minor league level is starting to work. You're seeing the results of it. You're seeing the production, and with the overhaul in the pitching infrastructure, like a guy like Jordan Wicks has a pretty quick rise to the major leagues, 2 years, and he's coming up, and he's not facing the stiffest competition, but he's just coming up, and he's still giving you a chance to win every single time he's out there. He's giving you back-to-back quality starts now. Like you can't ask for much more. For not just a rookie pitcher in general coming up as a September or into September, but like you're putting him in a pretty important role in a playoff push. Like what could be your first playoff push in a full season in 4 years?
Yeah.
They had the playoff push in 2019, didn't end up making it, so 5 years almost trying to make the playoffs. You're putting him in a huge spot, and he's taking advantage of the opportunity. And again, that's just really impressive to watch, and it's something that. I don't know if we would have seen that 4 or 5 years ago.
No, and I don't know. I don't know how they would do it because Ross sometimes does some weird stuff. If you played a 3-game wild card series, like Jordan Wicks should be starting one of those games right now. If Stroman's not back, I'm not giving the ball to Tyone over Jordan Wicks or Javier Assad. Are you?
At this point, it looks like
you're
he
starting
might be
Steele.
right there,
You're starting Hendricks. Game 3, up to you. But
Wicks or Assad.
I would plan to have both of them in that game. They've earned it.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. It's interesting because, like 3-4 weeks ago when Smiley was really struggling, we were looking at it and I said, listen, one of the problems so far is they've got to give it to somebody. Somebody else has to make that start. I didn't know if it was going to be going back to Wesneski. I didn't know if it was, but he can't start again. He can't start again. So you've got to figure it out. I don't care how you do it. And it might have to be somebody coming up from the line. You got to give the ball to anybody. So we said, is it going to be Wicks? Is it going to be Ben Brown? Yada, yada. But to that point, you hadn't really seen the pitching prospects come up and really filter into this team and have success like you wanted to. Killian, for instance, right? Like they tried it multiple times and it didn't work. And people were excited the first time. Now all of a sudden you look at it and you go, wait a minute. I was waiting for this surge of young players to impact this team, right? Look back on it. It's because I don't think of Assad as a rookie anymore because he's pitched so much. Assad, Wicks, now PCA is here. They're starting to filter in. Now you've had a couple of them come in and do really well, and I know Steele's further back and he's not a prospect or a rookie anymore, but he's still a guy that has emerged in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So
and
the wave is starting to come. And I hope PCA really kind of pushes that along now the next month.
the way he
Minamaya.
was starting, and we talked about it on the pregame a little bit, but that was a lot of fun watching PCA. I know, like, he got caught stealing, and I assume Ross called for him to sack bunt, which obviously isn't a super exhilarating first plate appearance for him, but that was exciting. Like,
But how about standing next to KB?
Something about that.
He
Yeah.
starts his major league career standing next to Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
To a World Series champion.
So
You can't
weird.
write that stuff. That's like those
So
NFL
weird.
commercials where they got Keegan-Michael Key saying it's all scripted. Like, that's one of those moments where you're like, this is a little on the nose,
was
isn't it?
weird.
Right? Like, and I think KB gave him a little, like, kind of nod, like,
hey, what's up? Welcome.
Yeah.
have fun with this,
Yeah, good
But
luck.
that was
Have fun, they
that
might
was a
trade you
lot
in a
of
few
fun. I
years.
mean, obviously, you're hoping he hits a homer or does something, more exciting. But just seeing him out there and immediately seeing that Ross was deploying him exactly as we kind of hoped and were thinking. Obviously, we want to see him get some starts. But as that game was going on, I was saying it on the couch, sort of in jest, but also seriously. It was a 3-1 game. Like, let's go. Let's get him in there. Let him go play defense and catch the ball for you and hold this lead and get him on the bases. And that's what David Ross did. So we'll talk about maybe the Jose Cuas situation with David Ross later. But, like, as far as his usage of PCA tonight, I thought it was correct. I would have let him swing the bat. But, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to lose any sleep over that.
Would you have
At least
let
he
him,
got the bunt down. Looked
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
Sure.
somebody that knows how to bunt.
Would you have let him hit instead of having Talkman hit and then pinch running PCA? Would you have just put PCA in there to hit? Because you did end up burning. a guy on the
probably.
bench.
Yeah.
I don't. I think, yes, we've talked about it. Like, Talkman has cooled off, like, since the summer of Talkman, right? Like, he has cooled off. But I think it goes back to David Ross wants to trust his guys. He's going to ride the guys that got him there.
He gives you good at-bats.
We know he's going to give you a good at bat, and it's also like, you're in a close game, right? Like, it'd be great to have PCA make his debut, do all that stuff, and have him get a hit or something like that. But, like, it's his first ever. It would have been his first ever. Okay, yeah, it would have been his first ever at bat at the major league level. When you have a guy like Mike Talkman who has earned the trust of David Ross. So I'm sitting there, if I'm David Ross, I think he made the right call in just having you did burn a bench bat, and that could have potentially hurt you later on. But you got a guy that you trust. He went up there, he got a base hit, and then you're able to put in PCA to do exactly what you want him to do. He went in, pinch ran. He did get thrown out at third base, but he's pushing the envelope. He's putting pressure on the defense, and then he goes out there and he plays defense in center field. Like, that feels like the role that he needs to be playing right now if he's not starting. But then when I look at it as a total package, I'm like, I think having Talkman bat in that situation was the right call, because you at least know you're going to get a good at bat. And again, the trust factor plays a factor. I think PCA will get more of those opportunities. I don't necessarily think he's earned David Ross's trust. I know he's earned the shot, and David Ross has said that he earned the call up, but I don't think he's necessarily earned Ross's trust in that situation. That it may just be something that comes with time. And so I didn't have a problem. I'll say it that way. I didn't have a problem with Mike Talkman hitting there, getting on base, and then PCA going in to pinch run for him.
I know some people are questioning getting thrown out at third, all those things, and that Bellinger went over and talked to Armstrong after the debut. I will say this. If it's not for Yan Gomes and a couple of other key plays, this was dangerously close to Armstrong thrown out at third, Seiya thrown out at the plate.
Yeah.
Two perfect throws, right?
Yeah, what did you say,
But you're
Ryan?
looking at 2 runs there, and if they lose and they don't get the Gomes hit, it would have been 3 one-run losses in 4 games.
Yeah, it was,
which would be tough to swallow.
Yeah,
the one with the Diamondbacks and Brewers both winning.
Yeah,
right.
we know the PCA one was like, it was a perfect throw, right, to get him. And then the one with Seiya, I didn't see it on the replay myself, but I've seen it on Twitter that they showed a replay on Marquee that he may have hesitated when the ball got hit to left field. And then it still took like the fastest thrown outfield assist of the season to get him by a hair. So yeah, so you got like the game of inches, right? Like every inch matters, but that's what happens if he for sure had hesitated. I didn't see the replay, but if he did, like that's literally that split second that you get that you lose, and it still took a perfect throw to get them. So it's like the Rockies made the plays they needed to make. I don't want to keep saying bad luck, because that's just baseball. Like the Rockies made the plays and they needed to make to get those outs. But yeah, that would have been if they would have lost that game, as Luke said. Like you look back at two of those plays, you're like, wow, you would have had a guy on third base and you would have had a guy that scored. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, sort of in the moment, I was obviously frustrated about when they gave up the lead, the lack of runs. Obviously, right? They were kind of dealing with that again. But then you look at things. You're talking about luck, and again, like this happens. It's baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't want to get too bogged down in it. But looking like at the baseball savant stuff, the Cubs' expected batting average on their balls in play tonight was 406. The Rockies was 186. Right, and you saw it in those first few innings. Cubs were hitting ropes,
line drives,
right? A lot of really hard hit balls. Even to end that, right? The Morel line out at the end of that to maybe drive in another run. That was another hard hit ball.
Gomes had one that would have been a home run in like 13 ballparks.
It just is one of those where like you combine that with a couple outs on the bases, right? And it's like, boy, this would have been a tough one to swallow. Like
really tough.
There's a lot going on here, like luck and otherwise, but this would have been a very difficult one to swallow. So thank you to Yan Gomes. And, Drew Smiley, I mean, really big effort from him. I mean, that was an impressive effort when it seemed like nobody else was really able to go, right? You had to throw Michael Fulmer in there, and I'm not sure how he got out of that because he might have thrown like 2 strikes that whole outing, but he got enough swings to get out of it. So
all I know is Smiley came in, and I was nervous, and then he came back out, and I was like, oh, boy, I'm nervous.
And then he came back out
and then all of a sudden I was saying, why did you take him out?
Yeah.
Because that's the roller coaster you ride with any bullpen, especially in a playoff push.
Yes, the super chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we get to the super chats, Joey? I know we had some of them in there earlier.
Here we go.
And Brendan, we're not ignoring you.
Love you, Brendan.
Joey, the super chatter.
Joey Smith, $20. I'm a cop, and I did a traffic stop tonight. The car had a Cardinals sticker on it. I gave the guy a warning, and when I got back to my Tahoe, the Rockies had taken the lead. That was my fault for giving him a warning. My bad.
Cops drive Tahoes?
Well, we appreciate the money and the accountability, right? He's being accountable.
Yeah,
credit to him.
And thank you for your service.
Credit to Joey Smith.
I feel like you're allowed to do your job and not have to wear the like universal implication, but I appreciate the accountability.
Here's one from Kevin, too.
Credit to him.
Also, Chris, the super chat, not related, Jets, walk-off punt return, yes. Kevin, $1.99, out of the loop. Is Stroman ever coming back? He's made some progress.
Yeah, supposedly.
I have to look. I believe he threw or he was throwing a live BP at some point today. I don't know. Yeah. If I'd seen that I
think it was today or tomorrow. It was like the next couple days.
So he threw a live batting practice today. This is Jordan Bastion over at Cubs.com. Stroman threw to hitters in a live batting practice session on September 11th in Arizona, following the same type of workout on September 7th. So he threw live BP today. I'm sure they'll have more of an update on that tomorrow out in Colorado. We don't know, right? Like, that's just kind of the same thing, and it's just such an uncommon pitcher injury. There's no, like, as bad as Tommy John surgery is, right? Like as bad as that injury is, at least there's so much of, like, a sample of, like, this guy took this long to recover. This guy took this long.
Yeah.
You can kind of get a rough estimate of what exactly you're kind of looking at, depending on the severity, depending on any other, any extra things you need to do. For Marcus Stroman's injury, there's like no history of that. You don't know. And I think the main thing is they are really just giving it the time and the rest and the taking it at the right pace to just get him to a point. Like he's thrown 2 live BPs now. He's progressing. He may be progressing quicker than we kind of thought. But again, there was no timeline, so we don't know for sure. But he's inching his way back, right? I still don't know if he's going to play at all again this season. He could come back in a relief role later in the season if there's still time, because it may be hard to stretch him out to be a starting pitcher. But that's all still.
And remember, he wasn't good before he got hurt.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Right? Like 6 starts, something like that.
I don't know if it was a report, but like the idea circulating around that maybe by like the 15th or so, they were going to try to get him back.
Well, the only problem with that is he's been out for so long, and he had the injury that he was already on the IL.
Yeah.
With,
how much could he pitch?
Right? Like
it would
right?
be in
Yeah.
relief. Yeah, I just remember seeing that circulating over the weekend.
Again, without a proper timeline or an official timeline, to me, it feels like he'd have to do at least 1 or 2 rehab assignments too, rehab outings. So that could push it back a few more days in that too, because the 15th is Friday, so it's not that far away, right? But I think this is just no one really knows, just because there's just so little information, so little history there, and just he kind of just keeps, like, it'll be one day we're like, oh, he's throwing live VP tomorrow, or he's throwing like, all of a sudden we get that information without really expecting it. So I don't know what to say, just because
honestly,
there's
for
no
me,
timeline.
if you could ramp him up enough that he could pitch even on the side a few times for you, that if you made the postseason, you would feel comfortable with trying him in something else and be like, okay, he's one of our best pitchers. Mm-hmm. I would be okay with that scenario.
At this point, if you were able to get anything out of him,
yes,
you would take it.
Yeah,
and we saw that tonight. We're going to continue to see it. Like we're going to talk about ALLCITY and some of the moves that they made today, but like, this bullpen is running on fumes. You have a lot of guys that have been pushed to their limit, some of them over their limit, right? And that was in positions that they maybe weren't equipped for in the first place, right? So if you're able to get him back and he's able to throw max effort for an inning, 2 innings at a time, like, you would take that. You need all the pitching help that you can get. There would be no guarantee that he would come back and be good and healthy and all of that, but like, I don't think they would try it if they didn't think he was able to give it a go.
That's something David Ross said, last week when they were at home, that, well, he has said in the past that they kind of, at this point, like, they can't be just waiting for Marcus Stroman to come back. That they kind of have to operate with just thinking that he's not coming back, because they can't just be sitting here waiting for it. But he did say, like, depending on what he can give them, if he can help them down the stretch, like, they're going to use it. They're going to bring him back in a capacity that he can actually help them at, because they do need a lot of help on that pitching staff. A lot of young guys pitching more than they've ever pitched before. A lot of bullpen high workload in the last few weeks. Like, they could use Marcus Stroman in any capacity on that pitching staff, depending on if he can come back in time.
Yeah,
if he can do that, they will use that for sure. If he can do that and be effective, they for sure will use it.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the bullpen use and some other things and some of those moves like ALLCITY in just a second. We're also awaiting Joey to saber-tooth a beer here.
Hey, you're the host. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to give me my cue here.
Joey will saber-tooth a beer in the second segment. Football's back in full swing, though, with another week of epic games, and who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action this season. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use the code CHGO when you sign up. New customers can bet just $5, take home $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code CHGO. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.SOT1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 and older by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
Oh, it's me.
That's you.
Okay. I was expecting there to be a little bit more of a transition. You know, Cody was doing that for a while, and
I know. Yeah, it's too late. It's too late.
Read the ad.
All right. Let me talk to you about Game Time. You know, I'm sure Cody used Game Time out in Denver to go to a couple of those games. Game Time, great way to get cheaper tickets, discounts on tickets. I'm positive Cody did because, you know, Cody likes to get the deals on tickets. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I've talked about it in the last few weeks. I went to a concert down on the south side, and that was at the Tinley Park Amphitheater or whatever. It's like a $12 concert or something like Game Time. And some of my friends had to get it other places for a little bit more than that, so that was pretty good. You can some of the things that that I liked about the Game Time app experience. You get last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. You actually get to see the views from all the seats in the venue. It's got the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. It has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Thank you very much. Rick, the Chicago kid with a super chat. Luke, I had my rally raviolis, and we rallied. So we've had Rice Krispie treats, help a win.
Yeah.
I
We've
also
had ravioli, help a win.
Want to report, if you want to see it, Cody Del Mendo did chug a beer on his Twitter.
He did.
Out of a cup, though. So,
But he didn't. Why didn't he just call in on the old hotline?
He's out and he's young and out and about in Colorado.
Come on, you're going to get it for us,
Luke.
Joey? Do we have a timer on it? Can't you? I just assume right now that he's at the DNVR bar and he's in all his CHGO gear.
No. Live from the neighborhood. Well, live from the neighborhood in Denver at my friend's Ben's apartment. It's time for a beer. Here we go. Cody time.
Disclaimer, we didn't watch this. We don't know what he's about.
We don't.
He might throw up ever. I don't know.
And for those of you that are excited, he
I didn't
is
watch
wearing
this.
shorts.
We haven't seen this.
Everyone, we are live from Berkeley in Denver, Colorado at my friend Ben's apartment. Hi, Ben. Everyone say hi to Ben. We are going to do a beer chug. I did not bring the beer bat, but for the sake of content and because you guys keep asking, we are going to do a Treasure Island Lemon Shandy from Woods Boss Brewing Company. Ben, is that a good
It is.
place?
It is.
Hold on, I'll fix it.
We are live from Berkeley.
These are facts.
We're 2-0 in our last two. We're 1-0 since I went on vacation. On the internet, this went well. All right. This beer is for Yan Gomes because the only highlight of the game that I saw was Yan Gomes giving us the lead in the 9th inning. Shout out to the DNVR bar. I went up to your bar, and none of you were there. None of the people that...
Right now, I don't know if you can see this. The mason jar is halfway gone, and
Looked like
he
a
made it
decent
through
chug.
without a vomit. Oh, wait.
Spoke a little too soon.
Woo, that was close. Yeah, that was close.
Go for 3 in a row Let's go.
I thought the altitude was going to get him. I thought the altitude was going to bring that foam back up right there for a second. Thought we were going to go 2 for 2. And we should say that the beer bat vomit curse is over.
It's lifted.
Reversed.
Right?
It's been reversed.
I mean, they've
now.
won 2 games. They've won 2 in a row.
That's 2, yeah.
Like you can't. You can't have a curse when you've won 2 in a
I
row.
will not be returning my 312 to the fridge.
Yeah, we're doing the.
Oh, you're not going to
now.
back out of the Sabretooth?
Why, what's the point of the Sabretooth if Cody just
we
did
end
is
the show that way?
All right, we could end the show with a Sabretooth,
Yeah.
but
He
if
almost
you're getting
won.
in a car afterwards, we'll just call it a quit.
well, we could do it. Maybe if we get to 100 likes.
If we get to
there
100
go.
likes,
40 more to go.
100 likes.
40 likes to go.
Gonna need that. No,
Not even sure they care. I don't even think the fans want to hear more about the Cubs.
Fair enough.
I believe Corey agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it,
All
Joey,
right,
says Ravi. All right. One of the bad pieces of news today was Edward ALLCITY, 15-day IL with a forearm strain. Corey, you're a little concerned with the way this may have been handled in your eyes.
Not after I talked with Ryan.
Ryan's talked you down.
Yeah, well, I just hearing some of the comments and stuff that I hadn't heard.
Okay.
It just is one of those things where I think as a fan who doesn't know everything, right, which of course we don't, and I would admit that, right? I don't have all the information. I'm not in the clubhouse. But Ryan had tweeted about Adbert dealing with some stuff
Right.
before he
And a
sat
Ross
out
quote.
for about a week, right, when they didn't use him. And then he pitched, multiple games back-to-back this weekend, and now he's out with something. So my initial instinct when you see that is, okay, you felt like something was wrong, sit him for a little bit, but then, now he comes back out and is potentially hurt. I don't, love that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it just, as a fan, again, not having all the information and kind of just reading this as it comes, I feel like your first instinct is to go, okay, well, like, should you have dealt with this, a week and a half ago when you felt like there was a problem? You know what I'm saying? So, but I think ultimately, it kind of sounds like shutting him down now is not because they believe there is some significant injury or something has gotten worse. He's just not responding the right way, and they want to shut him down, and hopefully shutting him down for a little while here has him in peak form for that final stretch when they really need him.
Yeah, and I think it was a lot of, he got that 7 days off early in the month, where there were some games where they just didn't need him, some games where they just went to other arms, and they pitched him back-to-backs over the weekend. I want to say that was Friday and Saturday, and it just was something where he just didn't respond well to it. So it was a right forearm strain. I think that's more of less of a concern and just more of they had to call it something. And it's something where, this is a quote again from Jordan Bastion of Cubs.com. It's just bugging me a little bit. As I said on Monday at Coors Field, it's been bugging me for at least a couple of weeks now. We were trying to work through it, do some stuff to it, but it's still a little sore. So we just think the time off is going to help me to just go back to my normal self. So he's been dealing with it for a little bit. Ross told us that he was dealing with something, not specifics, but connect the dots. This is very likely what it was. And I think there was a point where that 6 days, 7 days, or whatever it was, taking that off, he felt better after it, right? It was and it was one of those where, and Ross had said it himself, losing him for 4, 5, 6 days is better than losing him for 15. If you have to be down a guy at this point, it sucks at this point, especially with how the bullpen has been at points recently. You would rather have your closer miss 4, 5, 6 days, and you have to play down a man and hope that the offense can give you enough runs where you're not using the rest of your high leverage guys, or that your starters go deeper into games so you're not using all these guys, or just that the bullpen is able to respond to it. If you have to play down a man for 5, 6 days, because that means you have the next 9 with your guy versus losing him, right? Mm-hmm. I know fans don't love the keeping a guy out for 3 days and then going retroactive. In my opinion, that's a good tool to use, because in the same sense, it's you may only have to lose a guy for 3-ish days instead of having to lose him if it's a position player 10 days, if it's a pitcher 15. So I think that all kind of plays into the whole Adbert situation. They felt like he was in a better spot to pitch, had to pitch back-to-backs, and just did not respond well to it, as what the reports were out of Colorado, that now they get to this point where they're like, okay, we have to give him some rest. We have to just shut him down. We need that extra arm to come in and be some bullpen depth. Give him the 15 days. Hope that he just the rest gets rid of the soreness and the tightness or whatever in the forearm, and so that he can come back. None of the reports that I read said they're looking at this as any more than a minimum stint at this point. It sucks that it's going to take it to the last week of September, but that's just kind of when guys are going through some stuff and it's getting to the end of the season. Like, it's kind of that balance of, can we afford to lose him for 15 days while we're making this playoff push? Can we give him a few days off and then bring him back? They tried the latter, didn't work out, and now they have to go and give him the break. And yeah, not the ideal situation for him, but that's just kind of the balance that they have to do at this point in the season.
And when he says, it's been something that's been bothering him for a couple weeks, that timeline fits.
Right.
For me,
Yeah.
watching the game, I'm just saying the timeline fits for me, saying he's not as effective as he had been the weeks prior to that, right? Like,
Yeah,
all of
it
a
feels
sudden
that way,
more
yeah.
guys were getting on. His command wasn't as good. And he might have been getting some saves, but the saves were starting to become a little messier, a little bit dirtier. And you just didn't quite have that same feel that you had maybe a month ago when he was closing. So, but now the question is, how does that impact the playoff push? How does that impact if they get to the playoffs? Hopefully he's back and you have your closer back and you're getting him right for that. But hey, you got to get to the postseason first, right?
Yeah.
So the Brewers keep winning and keeping you at bay, and now you're in this mix for the wild card thing. I don't know if they're really going to factor in the division race. I guess they're in it, but it feels like a climb to get there past the Brewers, the way the Brewers are playing. So how does this impact the bullpen? Well, tonight you saw one of the ways it impacts the bullpen.
Yes, you did.
And Quas is in there, and it didn't look good. But then we're sitting there throwing around the options, and we're like, okay, what are the options?
Yeah.
Well, it started out well, right? Like, he struck out the first two guys that he faced, didn't he? Am I wrong on that?
I don't remember the order, but
He struck out Chris Bryant swinging and then Ryan McMahon swinging. Oh no, yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah.
But it was
Start
quick.
that
It
inning.
was quickly unraveling for him at the end.
Yeah, I think tonight is one where Merriweather's obviously was clearly down,
Three
and I
games
think
in a row, right? He's
as
down.
we go forward here without ALLCITY, Merriweather is the person I would be giving those
100%
closing
he's
options to.
my
We saw
closer.
him do it kind of over the
Yeah.
weekend.
For me, yes.
Merriweather would be my guy.
We saved the game yesterday too, right? Merriweather.
Yeah, I believe
we
so.
got the
He
save
was
yesterday,
getting
so
to the
he's-
point where I was going to say he should be the
I mean,
closer.
he's been nasty, and unlike Leiter, you felt like a little bit like ALLCITY, kind of running out of gas,
Yes.
right? Like Ross has really used him because he's been very good, but you feel like you're getting to that point. This was kind of something that wasn't, I don't want to say that hard to predict, right? Like a lot of people wanted them to acquire another reliever at the deadline. Kind of, you're not assuming injuries or anything like that, but you just kind of knew, like, as we've talked about a lot, like, you don't have a vaunted bullpen. Some of these guys have been very good at this back end, but they're doing it for the first time, or they're trying a new role, or their usage is at a point that it hasn't been before. And that's always something that there's an unknown there, right? You do not know how this guy is going to hold up because you haven't seen this before. Adbert ALLCITY has not closed games, pitched in high leverage every time this deep into an MLB season. He's never done it before. So you just don't know what that looks like, right? Is there going to be fatigue? Or is there going to be ineffectiveness, things like that? This is just something that they were going to have to deal with. They're going to have to piece this all together. You hope everybody else can stay healthy. The only issue I had tonight was, and Sutcliffe talked about this on the broadcast, you guys were both sitting there. I said this while we were sitting there. This isn't hindsight. Brendan was tweeting about it. Quas stopped throwing breaking balls. He was only throwing fastballs. And that is just a sign to me. You see the walks. You see him putting the guys on. You need to have somebody up quickly so that if it goes off the rails, because Quas is just one of those guys, right? The effectiveness might just go. I don't know, with the pitch comm or whatever, like I don't know if the breaking balls were being called and shaken off, or if he, signaled to Yan Gomes like, hey, I don't have a feel for that. Right. Don't call that. But he's throwing 91 mile an hour fastballs, like over the plate. Like that was my only gripe tonight, is that felt like a situation before the Rockies took the lead. You needed, hey, like this is a guy you should have a quick hook with, because not only is he our guy's getting on and the Rockies are coming here, but he's not throwing the slider. Like that has to be a signal. Hey, this is not, he needs to be throwing the slider and he's not. So that was my only gripe tonight. Just a quicker hook. Just that there's the potential that Quas might get a little wild, and that wasn't specifically the problem. It was that he was reduced to the one pitch. He couldn't put those guys away to get out of the inning. So that was my only real gripe tonight, was you needed the game was going to get away from you, and you kind of just sat there and watched it happen. And this is, I see the chat talking about it, this is where, like, at some point you are going to need to push some of these guys into uncomfortable spots. Mm-hmm. We've seen them do it a little bit with Daniel Palencia, but, like, the chat is saying, like, where's Luke Little? Where are some of these guys? At some point, guys are out. Like, you are going to have to try them in these spots, because the alternative, as we saw when Fulmer comes in, hey, welcome back from the IL. Here's a one-run game in Colorado for you to try and save,
How do you feel?
But then we see his option when he was losing feel was, well, we got to go to the well, get lighter up, right? Yeah. Like that, you're not going to be able to get away with that for the rest of the year. No. You can't just turn to Mark Leiter Jr. or Julian Merriweather every time you need to get out of something. Like, this is how you end up where ALLCITY is, right?
It's one of the flaws of the roster.
Well, for sure.
One of the flaws of the roster, and because of ALLCITY's injury, right, is just one of the reasons it only highlights it even more. Even with ALLCITY, it was starting to become highlighted. And so I really do have tons. Merriweather's the guy I trust the most. So that's why he's my closer. I trust him to come in and get 3 strikeouts more than maybe anybody on the pitching staff, other than maybe Justin Steele, to get outs. But Merriweather is a guy full confidence in. Luke Little, sure, I'd like to see him used, but I don't want him as the closer. Like, I don't want to put him in that situation.
He's a rookie himself. Like, he just came up. Like, he had a pretty quick rise through.
He's been hurt, right, so I don't want to throw him into that either.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, like, as we've been talking about, like, I'm sitting here and, like, I'm with you. Like, Quas, once you saw that he wasn't throwing the slider, like, he was just throwing fastballs, and again, he was able to strike out the first 2 guys, but then it got to a point where he wasn't. Yeah, obviously he didn't get anyone else out, but they were just. It looked like they were sitting fastball. Like, they knew it was coming and were sitting on it. They were fouling it off, running up some counts until they were finally able to put the ball in play. And it just looked like once that started happening, you definitely needed to have someone up. And they didn't pan to the bullpen, so I don't know exactly when Ross got Smiley up.
Right.
But
just a little too late.
Yeah, right. And, like, it may have been that the guy that last one was a righty, wanted Smiley against the lefty, right? Like, that's maybe part of the decision making there. But it was also like, well, Quas has thrown like 20 straight fastballs at this point. Like, they're sitting on it. It may be time to get him out.
For me, there's just, and I was saying this to you guys, like, there's just times where stuff feels too obvious, right?
Yeah.
We're sitting on a couch, right? Like, I'm not sitting here, I'm not going to claim I can manage an MLB team, right? But, like, there are just times where it feels so obvious. And me, Brendan, saw it. We're not the only people saying, like, hey, guys, like, he's literally only throwing fastballs. Like, this doesn't work. This isn't his mix. Like, so there are just times where I think Ross is a little late to kind of anticipate something that it does feel like most other people are anticipating, right? But again, like, if Merriweather's out, like, it's tough, like, I wouldn't have set it up so that's where Fulmer's coming in, but clearly he went to a veteran, right? He wanted to go to a veteran rather than some of these other guys, and ultimately, like I said, I think Fulmer threw 2 or 3 strikes in that entire inning. Like,
he got the swings.
Listen, he got it done. Yeah. So
Super Chat addresses that, by the way, from Changes. Amazing comeback. Ross is still questionable. I don't care what anyone says.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
That's it. I know people believe that.
Yeah. We were talking about it with like Smiley coming back out, right? And people were like, oh, should Smiley even come back out? But it's like, you had Michael Fulmer, who he was up to start that inning. So you knew at that point, like in my mind, I was like, okay, they want Smiley against this last lefty. Fulmer hopefully can get them 2 outs against the righties. But then, yeah, like you said, what are the other options? Brad Boxberger, like he was hurt for a while. Like he was gone for a very while. Like, and he wasn't very good prior to that. Like, I don't know if he's the guy that you trust in that situation. Merriweather's down because he pitched 3 days in a row. Like Mark Leiter Jr., the way it all played out, it very much felt like David Ross just did not want to go to him. Whether that was Mark Leiter kind of coming to him or to Chris Young in the bullpen saying, like pregame, right? I'm not reporting anything. Just like this could have been what happened. That like if you need me, I could go. Right? One of those like I'm hurting, but if you need me, I could go. So it got to a point where Ross just did not want to go to him. Ended up having to get him to start warming up in the bullpen anyway. But it felt like something he just wanted to avoid going to Leiter today. You got Palencia, who himself could have been in the situation, or he could have gone in for Quas at some point in that inning earlier. But yeah, like Luke Little, rookie. I don't know if I'm trusting him in any of those situations because he's barely pitched at the major league level. Like the options were so limited today. The options were so limited today, and I'm not like I'm saying Quas. Once it became clear he didn't have it, like maybe the hook should have been probably should have been quicker.
I think we all agree the hook should have been faster.
But in that last inning, I'm like, when Fulmer's coming out, I'm like, I don't know what other option he could have gone to.
Ultimately, like
it's not an easy.
No, it's not.
I mean, look, and we've talked about this a lot because they played a lot of close games. Like this is that you're putting it under a vice, right? Or you're putting it in a vice. Like you know that this is an area that they're a little gassed. They're running on fumes. You have some inexperienced guys. You now have your closer out for a little bit, and they're playing a ton of close games. Like so. The problem is going to rear its head at some point because Julian Merriweather cannot pitch every day. And if he does, he's not going to be as effective, right? It was exactly what we saw with ALLCITY and Leiter starting with that Brewers series, right, at Wrigley and going into that weekend against the Reds. And then we saw a little more of it against the Diamondbacks, right? So it's going to be a puzzle for David Ross to solve. I think... Again, like my main thing, like I acknowledge all that. I think there's just times where like a little bit quicker of a hook, and I think
totally, like you saw it. And
I think
sure.
Quas too is like still one of those guys. You brought him over as a guy, he's a project. You literally gave him a new pitch, like I shorter leash in that scenario. Like he's one of those guys where it feels like he has Ross's trust like a lot, and I'm not sure we're there yet. But look. They got the W tonight. It is what it is, right?
Nick with another super chat, $10. Was at the game. Vibes immaculate. Wrigley West.
That was incredible.
I told you it was going to be all Cubs fans, and some of that's that the nobody cares about the Rockies right now, but it's a pro Cubs town in the first place. And Cody, I can see we might have to have Cody get a CHGO chant going. See if we can hear it on the television tomorrow.
They had that one shot, behind the Cubs dugout. I mean, that was really incredible. I mean, we're used to that, I think, as Cubs fans, seeing them take over other places. But, man, it was loud. I mean, when it's coming over on the TV and you see those cuts where I think Brendan tweeted this. There was the shot. There wasn't a single Rockies fan in the frame. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it really is amazing. Like, this game is in Colorado. This is not in Chicago. It's awesome. It's really awesome to see.
You know what else is in Chicago? Sunnyside.
I do know that. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, Luke, is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your football season, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. Easy online ordering and in-store pickup, and a great transparent loyalty program, Sunnyside Rewards. It is Illinois' favorite dispensary, and it is my favorite dispensary. I was just there on Friday, and of course it is just steps, literally just steps from beautiful, historic Wrigley Field. I've told you guys before, there's no better way to kind of start a weekend than you go to Sunnyside, you pick up your order, you walk right past the marquee, at least going the direction I'm going. Just beautiful. A nice day in the neighborhood of Wrigleyville. You can shop the Sunnyside House of Brands like Mindy's, the best tasting gummy and chocolate edibles created by James Beard Award-winning chef Mindy Siegel and Cresco Labs. Good news, gummies, rechargeable vape pens, and carts, perfect for great moments with the crew. And as I always say, if you are new to your cannabis journey, like Stucky, you're on the older side, you're getting into the cannabis thing.
All right.
The knowledgeable.
Tell me the aches and pains, the glaucoma.
The Sunnyside in Wrigleyville, it's a very new, it's a hip facility, young staff, but they'll take care of you. They'll answer any questions you have, whatever you want to know, whatever products you have questions about, whatever you're looking to get out of the products, they can help you. They will direct you in the right way. It's a beautiful facility in Wrigleyville. And through October 15th, head to sunnyside.shop and use code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order, one use per customer, not stackable with other promotions. That's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your football season at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensaries. Must be 21 or older or an Illinois Med card holder.
Oh, yeah.
Super chat from Changes $10. Another one say, nonetheless, I really can see a 5 or more game winning streak coming.
3
Pretty
more
wins. I hope you're right. Let me tell you what I am right about. Fubo TV,
Everything.
140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. Stream live TV from any device. Watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. Start watching right away with a free trial. No contract, no cable, no hassle. Sign up and start watching, and you get 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. College football, Big Ten, NFL, Bears, NFL Network, Red Zone, Ryder Cup. You know what? Marquee, baby.
That's
right?
huge. That's huge. You don't
walk around. When you leave, this is the time of year where there's so many sporting events going on. You just can't keep track of them all at once. But now you can be out and about. Heck, you could even walk into Sunnyside and you might be able to not miss a couple outs or catch the touchdown you didn't want to miss. Or you jump in the car and you get out of the car and you're like, what happened? Well, now you just go back and look. Check it out.
Easy.
Maybe you didn't miss it. Watch all your favorite Chicago college football and NFL teams with Fubo. Go to www.FuboTV.com/CHGO to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Cubs get a win, a comeback win in Colorado. Yan Gomes, the hero at the plate. Now you get Javier Assad.
Yeah, well, and I like the comment from Michael, like, what if Stroh comes back and closes, right? I hope ALLCITY comes back and is able to do it. But there's something amusing about how, like, so many of the roles would have switched.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, Stroman gets hurt. Tyone is not as effective. Assad and Wicks come in and take over
Smiley
that
goes to
spot
the
in
bullpen.
the
The only
rotation.
thing I would-
Smiley's in
Yes.
relief, right? If Stroh was
Yeah.
able to come back and be a closer or at least just a higher leverage reliever, that would be kind of funny how they were able to, well, let's just move these chess pieces to like a different part of the board and like they still work.
Closed at Duke. Ryan says, of course, he was most likely the best pitcher at Duke. But, you know, my only thing I would say I think he does have the makeup for it to where I'd like that. And you want one of your better pitchers being that guy. And a little stuff rolls off his back. Right? Mm-hmm. In my opinion. Like, he's a little cocky. Let's put it that way. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you need a little bit of it. Sure.
I think it's okay in the close. Now, he does pitch to contact, which isn't my favorite trait in a closer. I'd rather have a guy like Merriweather that can come in, just throw the smoke and get your strikeouts if you need them. But I don't hate him in the bullpen if that's what you can get out of him. Let me put it that way. Assad, the ass man, will throw in the mile-high air. Last time out, 5 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. And we were saying, that wasn't – Cody and I were saying that was the first time I would say that wasn't his best outing. But again, the line shows you 5 1/3, 3 earned runs. So it still wasn't horrible. Like, he was hit pretty hard in that game, so it was different than his other starts.
Yeah, I think that's.
But it wasn't awful.
I think that's the concern, is how hard he was getting hit his last start, and that's not. You know, he does give up a little bit harder contact. It's not always like the technical hard hit like thing from the Statcast, but he has been giving up a little more generally harder contact. His last start was my biggest concern, is he got hit really, really hard And now you're coming off that and you're going to Colorado.
You don't know how this stuff's going to play in the altitude. Really, every guy is just a roll of the dice.
Well, yeah, so
especially guys that haven't pitched there before.
But Javier Assad has been an important part of the rotation, the last few weeks, couple months, and just really helping to stabilize that spot. So you can't count him out. Even like some of the pitch graders don't love his stuff. It has been working. So that's big. And yeah, having him go up tomorrow against the Rockies, I mean, he's one of those guys you're trusting right now. He's one of those guys you're trusting to get you to the playoffs. And he's been important, and he's gonna need to be important again tomorrow.
I think you're looking for sort of similar from what you saw from Jordan Wicks. I mean, obviously, hoping a guy only gives up a run in Colorado is asking a lot, but I think you just need him to just keep the team in the game.
Agreed.
Like give 5 or 6 quality innings, whether it's a quality start by definition or not. Like, just keep the team in the game. Go out there, eat some innings, because this bullpen. We can't have any short starts. No one is ever allowed to go like 3 innings or less ever again.
All right, you can put more pressure on the bullpen.
But it's one of those things, and like the Cubs did hit the ball hard tonight off Freeland, but only ended up with the 3 runs early, obviously until Yan Gomes later. But going up against righty Chris Flexen tomorrow, who will come into the game. He's only started 12 of his 25 outings, but he's got a 7.3 ERA. On the season, coming off a start or 2 1/3. He did start against Arizona on September 6th, 2 1/3, 6 earned runs on 4 hits, and then the start before that against Toronto, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 4 earned, gives up 3 home runs. So the point being, like, you need to score some runs. Give Javier Assad some run support. Take advantage of a not very good starter. You face like Zach Gallen this weekend, right? And you get shut down. Okay, right? Like Merrill Kelly pitched really well. Frustrating few days for the offense. You got to find a way to get some runs. But like, you can live when you get shut down by really good pitching. Yeah. It happens, right? Chris Flexen is not good. Right? We cannot be on here tomorrow talking about who had to come in and say, pitch in a 1-run game. You're in a playoff race. The Brewers keep winning. The Brewers are beating good teams, bad teams. You need to keep pace with them, the Phillies. You're going to play the Diamondbacks. They're right on your heels. You got to take it to Chris Flexen. Like, let's score some runs. Give Javi, the ass man, a little breathing room. Right. And 5 or 6 quality from Javi, that should be enough.
You know how you get him that breathing room? PCA's first major league start.
Here we go.
That's what I would like to see.
Against the righty that's given up bombs, a 7 ERA.
I'd like to see PCA start.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Freeland a lefty tonight, so we saw Morel in the leadoff spot again. But I would imagine do we go back to PCA? Do we see Talkman there tomorrow?
I'm already taking PCA for who you got.
Wow.
I'm already taking him for who you got. He might not be in the lineup like he was tonight, but he still almost won the game. That was a bunt. We'll get to who you got in a second.
Who even won who you got?
Who did win who you got? I had PCA.
I had Bellinger.
And
you had
Wisdom had
right?
a single.
Bellinger also had
Joey,
a single.
at one point, did have
a standing hold on Gomes.
Standing on Gomes.
Yeah,
Joey.
You have
Did
to cash
Cody
that
pick?
in. Cody did not pick.
Cody did not pick.
Like
Brendan picked somebody. I don't remember who he picked, though. Probably Nico or Dansby.
I don't think Brendan picked because I was looking to make the graphic before. I don't think Brendan or Cody picked.
Usually he does. I did think Wisdom hit one to center, and I was like, oh, man, did I call that?
You know what?
No.
Are we giving Joey the standing hold on Yan Gomes for tonight?
We'll give him the Gomes.
It should be Gomes.
Right,
I mean,
that's Joey.
We already talked about it, but just a massive hit for Yan Gomes.
Even though Joey didn't saber-tooth a beer like he promised he would, we're going to give him who he got because to us, that's how good we are. Goose Island, the official beer of CHGO, Chicago's beer since 1988. They've got Oktoberfest right now. Beer Hug Family, 312 Wheat Ale, Full Pocket Pilsner. I was working the beer tub at the CHGO kickoff tailgate, which was spectacular. Wabash and Cermak. Buy your tickets at allchgo.com. The next one is the Broncos game, October 1st. We had well over 100 people at the tailgate just in our little section, but this tailgate expands out to some other parties, and it's just, people are dancing on top of buses and on top of RVs, and just a great time had by everybody. And let me tell you, the Goose Island was ice cold.
Nice.
And it was delicious. Grab Ultra Fresh Brewery exclusive beers at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. Thank you for all your beer at the tailgate.
You know what goes good with beer at tailgates? Shady Rays.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had those on too. I had those on at the
sure you
tailgate.
did, 'cause it goes
I had my
so well.
reflectors for the vibes. Didn't carry over to the game very well, but
There you go.
glad for another reason I had shades after that.
Yeah, take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures is what you get with Shady Rays, and that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact, from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others like it now and for years to come. If you don't like your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
Very nicely done, and your new Shady Rays are very impressive. Those are
You can get these on Shady Rays.
Good.
Use code
Yeah.
CHGO.
Wow, those are
I'm
something.
telling
You
you.
just got
Looking
those
good.
tonight. Just
Got
got
'em tonight.
those tonight. Very
I
impressive.
feel like Maverick, kind of.
They are very Maverick-like. They are very Maverick-like.
You wouldn't really know what Maverick feels like, but
Well,
Oh, yeah, well,
only Stucky knows.
I digress.
it's not just
more of a lifestyle.
It's not just a vibe. It's a lifestyle. It's
yeah.
a inner soul. It's in your
Sure.
soul a little more
Sure.
than it is anything.
It's a spirit. Yeah,
It's a
I get it.
spirit. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast. We're going to be back here for post game again, 3 wide tomorrow night. Cubs go for 2 in a row in Colorado. Cody may or may not be calling in with a beer bat chug or a report, boots on the ground, maybe for PCA's first major league start. We hope to see that.
And he's joining the Rockies show at one point.
Oh,
isn't he?
really?
I
So he's
believe
going to join
yeah.
their show, but not our show?
I
Apparently.
think he's going to bring the spirit. I'm sure the Rockies fans in the chat are going to love Cody.
Oh, boy.
We'll see.
Anyways, it should be fun. We're going to be back here tomorrow. Joey, are you back tomorrow, too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The gang's all here.
Let's go 3 in a row.
Oh, we'll be right back. Cubs going for another one. See if they can do it with the ass man on the mound. Until then, thanks for watching and fly the W.